Okay, sure, man. Hooks and I. Means what? It will typically look like this in a monitor. It's like they have a serial monitor or something that is connected to their server. So you won't even have GUI. So how do you get terminal access there? This is what revert tower and reversal and bind keys. Basically, in Linux, there are so many programs we saw. CD, ls, id, union, UMA. Using those type of commands, here going to be adaption shellback from the server, which means using the legitimate commands, they are trying to do something malicious. So that's what we call reversal and pension. In a bit, we will show where exactly it will be useful. For now, I'm just trying to give a demo of the reversal concept. But yeah, no, we are saying the idea of saying, so what exactly it is? After compromising, you're trying to get the terminal access in our side. For example, it's not exploitable there. I'm trying to hack it and get the same terminal access in my calibration through some sort of vulnerabilities so that I could access the exploitable machine, or I would do it in the terminal or a serial dump folio. So we are trying to access the same. That's what we are trying to get the reversal. Reversal means, let's say, we have a machine. This is a packer. Israel call it daily. We have another target. This is our victim. So I call it the vulnerable machine. So in the reversal, and that guy who be listening on a port, for example, I might be listening on a port called 337. So it's an initial port, so I'll be listening on it. Victim will connect to this 21337. So just by connecting to there, I will get some sort of remote access through this. Remote access means not the RDP, but terminal, like I'm going to be able to access their terminal. So, or here it might open some other ports. Through that, we are going to get a shell, so I can remotely control. That's what we call it reversion. Before diving to mine shell, we will just take a look into the reversion so that we will be near another constant to get into mine shell. Actually, the slew documents are being quite confusing for the error. When I say reversal, people might confuse it with mine shell. The commands and all look similar, but we are using it for different purposes. So it could confuse it too. So here I'm using a program called Teams. So I could spin a terminal like this. For example, in a single pane, I were able to create a room. I can create like this. How many panes I want, I could create it. Or I could create a new one inside that I could create another separate one. Whatever I can, I can. So for easier access and I'm using the pings. So that with sharing the script in civil terminal, I could show output of both machines. That's it. So let's say we have we will explore the mine shell now. Let's say they have a scenario, we compromised a machine where we were able to execute all the exception. That can we'll see in a bit, but let's say we have already an access scene. We will use until an expert only. So I have a remote shell access from the Metasmax chip. So all this reverse shellman war. So carry is the attacker. So if you see left side, my carry machine instance of that is the attacker. The right side build is the one RWT machine. So from here, the vulnerable machine is going to connect to my attacker carry machine. That's what they call it reversion. I said I have to listen on a port. So for that, of course, I'm using the port 1337. So I studied the explored network, like, NC. Using NC, we made the brackets to build a top, you think. So some people say we need some rectors and we manually try to connect to an FTP server and try to manually do it. So here is in the same NC, basically to open our socket patch, and so very good. I may get it. So I guess do and eat. Sleeps. I'm busy gone. Fourth month treasury son. This is like yes, actually, 313. Yeah, you went to killing need on here. So oh, oh, that is not prepared for us. So we will move NCLNP. Which means in attack and machine, I'm listening as a go to bring stuff. Now, in starts happen. And it's amazing machine. Now, daily sheets a copy cake with it. So, thoroughly city thing. Because PC can see if we can use that after the book. It can, das boot gleich and so. Flora no, that the horn is gleich. It's listening for something. But say, again, runs so. They understand a big deal of, yeah. Like there, they can assume. So, 1, 2, 3 down. And when but passion box at defense indicated. So let me try sending some data. I those other which spread that this other thing. What is not doing any coordination out of hitting. I'm just setting the dictionary. I know if big slate it's app operation. If the syndicated I've said and just they see it. It doesn't matter any malicious features or anything. One now. Any malicious purpose or anything. Like using the same don't be good make it malicious. And we blew. Belum some malicious operation. Right, so but now they only does some important it's the subs what they would do. How many get messages? But they just textbook the mad face what and see. We already know has they form post then post hand. Best of it. If the seed auctions, that is one year count 5 key specific. You can file it, there can sick after count. At Sydney's peg secured or at secured the boot, it can do it. So basically, in that path of feature, is here's faith and lead need. It would execute the weapons and not put with the solo statue, like someone. So that's the right is a need. Pinless. Arnold that there is law will get made, it just that it is like, but it's nothing more. Pinless. So be it seen about that endless coming on the life side. And that is well done with the soul thing. On the that favor less of the children, the attack machine legal sit. The listen if. So far now you have just bring that from and lesson. You see face. But what if we have access to bash? It does bash is flash is saying to people that it at this one giving you the shell access. Sailage. What fell up this download link they link on it, say, but if you go into bashing. So if the age with your direct takes bashing, it don't very much for all you see. After packing bash, back them because if they did compute the land check, it was a jail access to the batch, to the sellers. So all from so the actable edit. So basically, they're executing common. Two. This is what they are buying that China and premiership. So in fact, 8 less, maybe in a business. So, Berlin. And I love stuff. So I let a broker book or see the show. Fargo, I just did locally. I'm using my credit expedition of fat back at a bit big. That's how I ever do is. Well, here's the war again, drawing that chico. That bit motion. So they put boom in. And see, boom, 6-2. And this checked my right pig. Boom, who what is though? Fix there. So be nice. 240 south. So on the phone number is 130. I think if you could hear the guess input chat up the issue to the most we haven't mentioned any blood I've exceeded done. The artist from flat, even some so sacred books send the messages to that. So send it some he. I so that So, and it should be they hit it above population, but like upwelling it with eyes that eat water batches. That is that you will get the same basically. No, they got this in some. That's like a cheap. Okay. I hope you understand the partial concept. Before dialing into why it should. We put say like, yeah, you already haven't. She laughs or something. Wow. Then, so you want to execute cover. How would you do that in real life? What's the point of it? Why you have to do this? So you might have questions like that. Wait, because I already have shit like this. Why I need a change to be should. This is why, for instance, well, if you have a lot of logic issue, you have a population, there you wrote down shit like this. By piercing the reverse shell, you put access wall. Like, I is DWS example for this. Bang. Oh, the planet sits. Big. To get you involved with be done. Once a month. So, there, but that's my question. And DWS is the one you're trying to set to do. Maswood. So, DWS, we have on about book repetition, which is to practice per exploitation case. Oh, we are doing the go exploitation to low sigma task. They got an application that has to practice the mathematics. So, yeah. Before bed, they need to you need to do one thing. Just build the data of the security. Change it to no. So that you don't have to bypass any big data enough of the. Every day back will be easier to do. But we are one better cracks let it with the yeah, just it doesn't one command. Command execution. Basically, a command execution will exist. So when I do important LS, it just lists the fight. So I'll get hit to the way behind you see the session. Next say how I'm an investigation. But that's just the already done on his face. There's some put then I done let's say it sees or that's not PHP. So they know guessing gap. They could go part of fight. They build a kind of fight. Fair doing that stuff PHP. So if they're in every build, actually be everything that was some off building actually better some fine it seems. If they're no button going you. They put them for you about fight. I mean, make play if them know. So they have source. One more thing, source can do that a trail out the thing. So they would then go back up and be learned pretty less like Fandel. They would show the long steep of our book. It is a sitting sources at that. So they didn't know what things in the software. The boring set of activities that come in from city. So city source actually their own time. So there's not because things are suited. Now we fiddle then less. Yeah, seeing the same one rather than one thing faithful. Wait, because every time is pointing at soft process. So what don't dominate the bigger thing is who's the host. That's why even if I on insect soft, that's a separate comment. Then you're using the ammunition of that then. There's a different comment, I think. They're thinking on updating the CD. All book founder, what we can follow, the go confirm it. We can look into the source. So unless source them they're safe I low median to a lessly form. But when the city would go to that page not looking back. So this is what the reverse shell option. The buff. If we had a remote send it would we will eat it along your best process and directly access the so far it's done too. Already have one. Warm. But stuck one bridge they saw. Because the one position how under the district by the heaven because walking fight on home, just walking fighting. So then you're saying on 1.330 down. So PW is a prediction. And Kelly is a attacker national. So let's say your phone's at check I'm gonna get involved of in a under to seek past a super benefit Russia is we really murdered the tick because in up in our bull let's get the injection you need to use some bump is good get it best. Is important evidence that stomach by using on if them must come in versions as they can one. Liner expression ni puti some patch. So we are using the logic to exploit that on a leaching bomb. Data reduction. It we didn't hurt the shitty of it. So yeah, about shitty the point numbers 187. No, we dates on a hunk of answer team we did he be low. We're going to execute the best ship. I think the common exhibition below the so in hand. Because like that's the as the form, so the next bit is the possibility of it. Here, like on their shit. So through combination above, I got there the mount exhibition the scene. I got the reverse ship. So from here, I could access the soft therapy. So Ellers wil hij de slide op knapper leren bij HP fans now. Only iets nieuw. So weer zakabens van wel. Dan wordt voor de blab HP face. Ik ben even move out of directories. Search will be property. You got then from what picture that look like that they'll learn about software exploit. So that we got innocent. So and all you understand way do that nothing. A lady you to learn what you doesn't. Not like comfort and then but both be got that action. But if you don't down on that bump, if you on Harry, well, yeah, and if you don't down the pop, you can check you will just tell place like that. That goes all is to that goes some self depression. State, it would is the same the book, but guessing a different form. The same like could walk out of the application best thing. My beer and I cope application time have a bit shitty, but it's like the all in a government tool in a film. They can show me book I subtitles so that would be the that I should exalt create the beat. How we are understanding the sheet. So how which we are in there. So that it would change the box basically. So yeah, they got that shit. When this is phase get beat fight, somebody fact press come towards see this figure would be. That won't be the brothers. First somebody if I end up put a hat on accident if you I just started to press that full feet, but it fit press some bones see the shit you'll be asked. The cellular shell will be good, so I had a next like that. So how should we fix that? How should we make it cable neck on the rest of that? So I didn't exercise that low. Pretty soon. I got the ship. They could bear it on the pass. I come to is that it needs that part should be vacuum, but if I press FG, it'll come for build by it to use it. This is just a builder go better on us. So be the build up that's bad. So there's a climb porn S eating what? Well, echo. It should basically execute some command, says that if something on a helm now, you won't see it all. At David bit of very, you are seeing all. It does just come and start something on the flames if that work. This giver is my ship. So you play take the FG now. I got the Frankton. Not Frankton. I need very much, but somebody didn't just accessible gone. The edge again from the box said something is happening. So I began to stimulate about the same language. But similarly, you are the reverse. Oh, Bill is so. Oh, okay. I just feel like the fact really hard to be a smidge check. So be sure bank is sake in us. Now we are in his chat pop, Billy. Who does it like to connect with that bond trickery soft? No, they don't carry Russian. So she distributes need to see. Yes, 8 way. Not at all. And both. So FC, take out it to foreground. Oh, B. Oh, I'll just do enough best of them. So, pero ang bagwanation they will do. And sin. Pero there's them. They don't understand. They fund who that are going into scriptlessing their most of them. It will try to get an intactical clag set. I mean the on-premise machine. For that, they could do the lump sum command like speak funny. What this how when she sometimes be come loop. So what they can do space six flat by time. Someone's acting on what's in better not a product actually. Then neither knew was dropped in. Someone come under hand is just green. Is it like who's one for leader? So as an exhibition. Yeah, they got like Tomic's gun, so thing by time you go shiver the shit. But so no. Ja, en så animerar sig för mina bröstbär. Max kanske clear ex habis geared character. Say when they would protect something. And it's never really from happy to get. So, but in done, I give you the scene look. In odd, big like, big layer down. Well, so, and they get some gets. So the third way we take begin long burn. The swarm. Or but some reason that Bria's commented in into the vacancy. Shaft security. We got a shimmick past a pint gold and that other thing. Rather than teaching murders. We don't even know that I put popping it. But in fact, I better situation. I'll put if I take some unknown government for example, boo at JK, there is no such stuff. It'll even show that at JK common not Texas because BSOS put the standard over Billy direct to that prevision. Now they even made it do. Leaving at standard open standard cat tax leg. Ilan no. Maldit will be security. Steep people. No. Whoa. It's like Befchi. I got the proposition. Cycle woo. Yeah. It's like type Concord C, which is not killing back down that. And Bressing Conference comes again, that it's just my gate. So now we steer base station. Even if I'm not a man leg. Accident, really. So my back special is looking, now I've able to appear the streams. So thinking, so when I could go come the fee in the being then to put it. So this is way, not a rush out of reasonables. This only the due to a version. So I said, a rush out and the mention. Then what is that use of mention? In the Russia, backpackers on using ship, so that they would open up organ networks. But in that venture, the senators fought opposite. So that on wouldn't they wouldn't be setting. A packer and bigger and then goes then. That one comes in pension. In certain pieces, pension is for certain pieces, privilege is. That's the they get the left look. Why set it this of pensions too? Let's say you haven't paid look. You're been in the client up you can, yeah, in that sense. In opening your bandage industry, you just drop the preload. And in your wonk you lot pals today. What if they the preload at it? Negate of it. They got blob your make it and blob you are not working. What work is the better part execute got a make it up. You are not using him. So they should make they So you won't reach it. So this type of issue arises and reversal. So when you're working, or else you have to keep the reversal open in your computer 24 hours until you get a callback. So to prevent this, we could use bind shell. So this will open the port on the victims, basically our Metasploit machine. So even if a payload got delivered at an unusual timing, so somehow it executed in a time they got though, it's in listening state. The victim machine is in listening state, so you can just connect at anything because that's already in listening state. That's why we could use bind shell. Yeah, bind shell looks impressive, so we could use bind shell, right? But the issue is anyone can connect to the open because it's opened on the server side, not client side, like the attacker machine. Which means if I exploit the machine, I open the port, you can also connect to the port and get access to the shell. That is also possible. That's why certain cases we won't use bind shell, but when required, we can use. Especially for more type of attacks, we might use bind shell if required. What bind shell? Attack got done directly look the listening state. So I will say it's an bash because hyphen e we know it will execute how should the victim report the listen to it in an EP. And the port number would be 133. Let's say I executed such a this is all mentioned basically in the victim machine we are executing bash 14133. So if anyone in my drove, it's where they are able to connect to the 133.7 port, they might got segregation. This is a drawback with bind. So I just found the network. In case if a malicious attacker is trying to scan the network, they might find this as a backdoor. If a malicious attacker is doing it, so they can get shell 3 without even doing any efforts. That's why when you're using bind shell, you have to be careful. So anyone even I thought like one ampo from suits, I think of K1 in about 151 import it takes on. Şimdi this LMNP. This lays for Bilbo, so I'm sure like yeah, this direction that used at least check offer this is just less so what reason we are receipt that bill. Yeah, mindful is the Sivartaman turn. Mindful is the potokon where pin that is impossible to decoration. Very yeah. Because sometimes now I'm using the in the reversal I used a port like let's suppose push in Sivarjan. So I used a port like 1337. But if the firewall is conservative that it should not allow the connection through 1337. It should not go, the outbound traffic should not go 1337. What should we do? So that would basically block our reversal. Even though a payload would execute on the server, firewall block it. So that in that type of cases, you might use mention because the outgoing connection that we block, but the inbound connection is allowed, which means you can connect to the server on that port. Server can't open the port and connect outside. So in that case, we can connect to the server. So a type of firewall bypassing, they could use the mention if they had a configuration like that in the firewall. That's why 6 second case the bank sharing but the report could be useful. So yes, now it's in the listening check follow 337. I'll just connect to the okay, I think something happened to the Metasploit, but that's why I will be able to spin up. So we could just restart the Metasploit. Now say you have to be careful. Now we ran lots of tools on both PX look at cell and found that may did something to the machine. That says very phase of that. Well, that's when we hit an EWD endpoint, it's like loaded. So you make the other impulse. So yeah, the machine got broken. Pocket. So I don't think. Well, now we got DWS. I'll execute the scene for that example. It's in blocking state, which means it's started the shin. So it's connecting because the film will back have rather than saying like connection to the flip star Sunday. We got the bench broken. Our bench is working properly now. In case if a firewall is configured in a way to block 1.337, triple bypass it this. I mean to outbound rapid. Because server somehow have to take a traffic inside. For another it's like an interconnection like the but then but it's essential go ready to our server for 480 or 4435 well. HTTPS or 45 and 139 for SN2 Sarasad and so sit out and we can use that to open the service and try test like that. So that's all for reversal and right show. I know this should confuse you a bit later. Again, even after the session, you might get confused with why again reversal and bind shell, both of them look same to way. One day, the way they are executing is different. How we are using the CNC command. And before going to that, we looked into reversal and bind shell. What is this the only way to get it? The reversal and sanction. Because we are just using in certain cases, you might find NC rather than present of operating systems. Lots, size, and each option is disabled on the system. So you won't be able to execute the value. That's case how we should do it. As I said, you are going to target the seed file modification. The need file binaries. That's not a target. One of them will quit Python. Using Python, we put example. Okay, so can we just and just need Python. Let's say in Python, you were able to access the Python's target for system. So you put a module called OS. Using OS, you put execute system like this. So I just did the xcar so that you put feed output like the calculator has been walk. So using this, we could execute the payloads there. So how do I configure that billing? For that, now you don't have to remember all the commands and this thing and that. You can just open with sheet. You can find on from Fantasmonkey, they have a lot of things. For example, using bash, how you get a reversal. We don't even NCP because in a Linux environment, no, bash is present, we know. So using this, we can surely get a shell. So we can use bash. In case if we found out, okay, they have Perl, you can use Perl to get a reversal. Is it Python, ESP, Ruby, Netcat one we already saw, but Java, I've stuff, so many things. Even apart from this, you've seen AWK and so many Perls, through that before get a reversal. For now, we'll just take the Python itself. So, yeah. As I said, here there is in the voice module. But apart from that, there is in shortcut, some process. They are creating a shortcut. And using this IP, we are just connecting. So for now, I'll hardcode my ID to get a recursion. So, 29, 247 is my IP. Yeah, 247 is my IP. And the phone would be 133. Okay, now, what can we do there? Huh? Yeah, sorry, Netcat. We are trying to do the same with this Python next bug. I mean the Python recursion. So without bash, we were able to execute up using Python. So I'll listen this submit button. We got a reversion. And this time we got a server look. Maybe the server is running a school break thing. I think I know the issue. I think why we got me. Because for privilege reservation, I did something that's it's found the bash processor's rule. That will also, if it's possible, I will show that technique on this today's session. So using Python, they got a reversion. Now we know how we generate a reversion there. Using a chick out with that. The Russian gets a good. What a reversal page. What's next thing? So yeah, we want to listen. How do they exploit the services to get given? And what can't be sought pretty out this is done then will be we are dirty in the pillar also, we are stuck in the listener ourselves, everything. But there are certain automatic deficits which generate this failures. For example, even though you couldn't find this Python, Arabic, Java, you can still get it or something. And even that would be some sort of native application running on your operating system, for example. You have Windows operating system. If you are able to execute an ES event, so that also even better membership, even though the Python of 1,000 environment is for some time the operating system. So we put create an active ELF file that could run on the same that would get machine that would become superior solution. So our really aggregator such an everything. We don't have to the amount prepared for from scratch using like C, Biscuits, assembly, banner, police, metasploit, which is used for automated explantation and post expectation. Good. Um, Baggy fund, which is again, sorry, baggy fund, whereas like will be ensure that it computer. Around the tool, the framework management just like where there are certain goals are really exceeded. So something to take in myself. MSF comes load is the one they will manage the sessions and all we did with anything. Using MSF now, they could create the payload. So what they get exported will long big on it payload. That eventual invention or got a dislike on it the payload. Some example names. Eat needs below. So again, you don't have to remember every command. I will show the trick. So it's slow. So basically, because for one or two commands you put remember that once like every operating system you can't remember. Using its similar command for gender compatibles, hello with 149 for salaries, 15 BSD get frank operating system. So what we can do is as like they know wonderfully. So people or someone they logic director like the Chinese use this out to go it everything towards the way. That will give you the commander. Yeah, there was a step up the zone I was looking towards. So you have a G-ray that says the wrong things. They get it was fit the day he one day or shirt mark. Oh, sick. Bombina and done. Who what is seven? That is like it's whole that should kind of 1337. So listener, for listener, I just have to do the NCA LN.fa attack of a shift. So one only just chose I was but people go bind MSF and so many things. Below just MSF I'll shut down. Instead that they have different operating system at Peru. Like boys, they just choose Linux. That's how we don't get next payloads. We start also this everything work on Linux. So for now, I just give the help. It created the command flunkly. This is one bit one. It does we don't have the know what those call it. If you know for be of the GUI tools and things, it would easily generate a balloon. But usually when you get stuck there, it will be a little difficult to leap on by pawn back of quests. Now I know how the balloons and the other weapon getting fun to it would use skills like this answers. Because after the learning this. But if they can't get sick of stupid the pillow, it could be there. Need to yellow fight, which least in Yegni, Prinex operated system, I could have this yellow fight, again they reverse it with the safety. So I gave him this then, sliced our ignorance. And the Santa ship, I mean, earlier Santa. Someone Well, by now it less operating system, which is accelerating the sale of fight will apply go to safety. In case it is what's in sen recover the hybrid recovery good. Or outside have BUS and can BUS and VPS of the spoolie. Acted. Now do that very much. The swamp yeris again, it did the take a yellow finds it at the front of like. But dude, have some separation from. But as though you live there, they was losing Manastler. All on some of profit invention when Spinfist taxi could bear attack. Like back there, having to get print much. I gotta think, well, yeah, Shen Bainchen, the artist, if any, what were both on the Chang say, and then the Dude Bim saying, Yaga, filling the plan. Okay, openness for what to if it sounds like weakness to you. Then that we are in Chippy there. That didn't easy not Peru. Continue pacing in some. Yeah, big workers there in a sovereign on pigeon to spades. Parma of big at the Benasquam what is it, don't chill it by shit. And how up to use men as like the genitals fails. Oh. So the only good form of some bad shit is the patient thing. Up here, they don't solve any, so it's ending on 30 days. All we know is fight our blood apart. Sign button, woman on this hit. And then, big sign. They gonna be one. My man with it won't do that in button. One was give one of the idea, sandbring this country scan and association thought it's one lift up for granted. They got that association, just have decreed to find they find for is there any well ever did percent critic would just move it. So the games debating it, but find the bind 4 box. So it seems fine it is asserted exploit, one from big 7, one from exploit DD, and the same as those is on the day one other. So big would grade the exploited. So, the obvious expert is there, but how do they learn? In Galilean X, you have a pro or search swag. It makes il expert the deals file last on expert. There is a local option offered exists not offered extra time. What's such plan? So for that, we could give the gives of the bigger sunny troop. Certainly you will have load of enough tools. Or if you go by the version number, it will just do the service name. Set a list all the text back on the point service for BSFT query. This makes vital. So the old work. But we know it point a find for is the 199 packet. So there are two is better. One format of bad, one development of bad. So then of let me, as I said, it's a friend not. If it is even expect, is this on that aspect, expect is of aspect, we will bullet that and be either aspect. First, they're really going to know correction. But I've read to start them into it. That's the so such like I find in next minute, it'll just copy the like to make other character. Next line is 5 now and set 4 meg, 7 size stuff, not be big. Since you got a PWA extension, be know it's up like that. Before running any exploits, make sure if there is a Jetty bar who heard it, or else it might compromise what was full. Try to read that for at least as much as possible, so you understand what it was trying to be. Even though you don't understand the full logic, it's for it is suspicious governance not being executed. Or else, don't cause address content deck. So here I don't see anything suspicious if shine decks like those, so the direct for sort of thing. So, like, so man, since there's no word solution, so get my good at that and they spend in Python. That fine Python though, you've all literally good at it as it for the IPUs. Or very that one, and 2, 6, edit bunding and more. One if it's give one. This successfully question. You swing through that, it will exit the quarter. So we still have our extravision, but we have a record excellent. We'll know these are presidential and by bit through that. The exiting was Thomas here. They all did a proper question. Best basically can't read that. So they set us the explanatory cells because as big as well point, this particular version is a lot of bandu some sort of subgetching. They're favoring British number of assistance. It's a very famous one. You would find this in any give attribute. So they would say STB points because there's lots of the FTP SNA and goodie. So as big as like they put script, but they didn't know how Metaspan going to fucking make it pre become. No, I downloaded a next slide. I just copy for this by that and I have product no deck but I got lag. I follow my written next lag. Like is Chris and data that have public activities. But what when I slot can do? Soon will be how not in but in the soft pencil. We just take on soldiers nothing like it. So we basic your sock and the frame one. From the book I will exploit the source splatter video. It means learning. And it's not a big base look a lot of two. What that book is it bad fee. Yeah, it's Lord. So they say the same as of six instead of the in book, when I spend as the ordering. Som har du lag and nästa location. When I spent a lot of quarters to rule and expect a shatter. So many things people do. Even if you do legislation with my daft back, it will inject process and dot a lot process that even goes like down says so many things people do with matter of flight. It is really cool. So far now, we will just build it by their slide ourselves. So for that, we have a granny got a surge. So we got first file the software they are painted as slide. For example, we have the SF8BB. Use of PPT matter of fact upgraded lice. One for good 3, 2, one for good 3, 4. So when they see look at that description, the first one is delay levels, which means there's not that much usable, but it's the errors of backdoor compact detection. So you have an expression which makes the care indeed a shell of light should addict. So we are interested the second inspire. The vein that's something from zero. So, that legal second if that, but the number by number is. But what gets it goes other source, for example, a one from use of beat video is teller. Said anything on a book, I don't know, 80 plus exploits are one for color. They need to look for the destruction mandate what it suits sanity, what even exist. For example, here on far. Ipilink theme uzrokuzle, which weaves the basically how but follow out their talent on our. Well, and so this day our next then. There's so many software feedback sounds well. Fun all. They look their ways of the and people is pissed. So none of the use the slide to go back yet use and the name of the slide. They chose the slide. Then but there's auction pulse another very conscious option. Working on the auctions acquired for the next line. For now, everything has been sent. If there's Herbert settings that said no, then no need to set it. But if it said yes, then I put it field, then they are set those functions. But only for audible field has need for yes. That means I had this in that part, which means remove post. My I get us so that it'll back to my ideas. I is net von 9.6 said that cadence and when gain 9 but what we sell them. Alleen if I back the show options, everything has been set. This is an automated way. It can't still look like you're doing on soft command. This are on default or VM and aspect expert. Even if you learn this command for B50 PDF, when you have a similar command for both things by second, let revel them. Now in this type, okay, we previously expected manually from our company you see below. Not night vest of the as ticket for but that's where as keep so that's why you have with the retail full together on the basis and spec like this. But a lot of parity running on that kind of thing. Probably get that back on your low bank. You see, Tigers at the which is not the same basis support. So try against granted swapping on you after the play to excited third landed would end. Because PLC speaker might be security of the system. They can't go for a bunk pay. That's like in even in this one last session, we raise price them as back up the FTP service. That's really harm to be very enough. I like whom his still boost. It's properly booted. So now we could run that back. Every is start on the searching solutions. Oh, I got started multiple stancher data. Not the local ones. So that the occupy get hard to get that decision. So rather I gave my television at B. So or was one man 168 when kinang on out one of a man. That make that it's for null at put text back. So man after it went D instead in the D1 function. So at the under on contradiction okay. We go on the shoot. Little man as my birthday. In that is a good read it, sir. Yeah, you're heading out the shin. Still, it's unstable if I press them don't see it make good key. But as I said, make a slight is self and. So education found that the sub. If I press them from C, it didn't prong me the you won't between the session. So even if fast and get press them from C, I know I will press no. Stick one up on the session. So I'm still on the reversion. But how could we make it fix this? Previous year in analytic to pike down and using the STTQ command something. But one of better option called shit. If it type shit, active Steve Lasik fly, everything, it has bad me, you know what, I'm actually fighting. It builds up by ton except. Whoa. Yeah. On this seat, they have a crop pork there, my link in Beckett's personally, if they open my Kelly. This says like Kelly, but directory to similar or near. Open panas bad, but less those name you said it's an up on the machine. So they'll be there in that's the fights. Still like on this best space, but it's a first control safety. Weirdly have and what's duration. So if the session center so we have good at it. Prepare the excellent. Oh, we know now. Oh, okay, that excellent messed up then. So get rid of that. So we understood police. Now with the hunger von Shingle, small gavin that na dolano and another exploitation. Is it done? Even in a look we take the harmful. But if some for an all we just go baby share shit. Since if someone lot would won't be after the like a woman hey, it is somewhat if it should be the shit. What is it and you are engaging at your calling some fun about your cyclist. That hunger to be. What is it next? Next, you will do an app on tiny. Further listeners, it's fleeced on the low premeditation. Yourself 130 lot you are less yet kill high premeditation. That's what you're in for some body discussion. You want session and that is for some reddit station. So befriend by some prioritization. Or we can automatic finding the prioritization or learn. If so, build good matter length long. So if I think about an idea. Apart from that, manually they put a lot of one thumb. And that's like there it is. It's even manually they put criteria like a sort of spell. Then like this one of that they picked out. And you're man, who wins this? Or Guinea and Mope. Who one. So we were able to do therefore that's another pillar or so. So what does the Genshin? If the change love can one interesting note is enough for us, the end seeing we're going to go so they could get some sort of fast. So enough us with industry. One is enough us. Enough us basically network friendship, which means just like SMB about this in Astraliva for demolition, they could do file sharing to a mental. So all that will be dealt with. Enough first effects is considered, it can expose it and dare at that is to take the consideration. This something. So let's try to connect to that. That's an themselves. So before that, in the stop, if we have one here two place, and you can say more everything. In the stop, we have on the big now. So that once I connect then have the someone we consider face. You see the monk come you will create the monk at 3 or something. Here, Brian Bruin Monta. Network NFS someone. Basically, it's like connecting a hard disk over filter. Therefore, this NFS works. So hyphen T, we need to specify what we are trying to do. The protocol. We are trying to connect a NFS protocol on our NFS protocol and the target IP and 2.68 ممكن عند نوهي بفيبان الثاني ولا ملني I found the issue check. Since they were in this directory, that's me in list setup. Once I go back and came, once I went back and came inside desktop, now the files then just it's like bin, Shriram, etc. and so many files. It looks like a Linux root directory, but we are in desktop. Then how is it showing? Where is it showing? Is it my Kali Linux software stuff? No. Be on the Win directory. Not the Win directory, the root file system of the pedestal level machine to the file Linux machine. So I were able to access any files in it. Let's say, even though that is spawned by boot, which is only applicable to that machine. If I were root locally, I could access those files. That's how I did the co-legislation initially when you got a reverse precaution because I did something. So, yeah. In the meantime, I'll just connect the telnet so that the legislation you'd understand more the schema. Just a nudge for it. Telnet. So in fact, who am I? Anderson and Vassar sir, and my user ID is 1000. I'm not doing anything malicious. So here we could read what our files on. If we were able to write a dashboard that is executing at boot, when the device, when the machine rebooted the next time, you might get refreshed through that. So many possibilities of that. For now, we would try one legislation at that. Like cybersecurity, I've seen lots of binary files. But if you see bash, which means you could modify the mesh program you want. For now, I just gave a SEO ready bit. Let's say it's showing red color. If I check the permission, it had a special bit called PS, which when now the execute this program bash should run as a book. That's what I get. But visually it would be like that. Okay, they removed the SCI bit. Yeah, we removed the SCI bit. So whenever we exhibit bash, it would be a normal user. So we are not getting any root shell or anything. But as I said, the file system is pointed on my Kali Linux machine as if it were on the real, like a local file system, which means when I make modification from my Kali, I could reflect on the server side. So I'll show that and this giving secrets more. U plus X, which is a special function that will give SRE directory, which means I could run program as root. Now bash whether red color, strength, because extended an SU ID. Now if I type bash, it was supposed to be executed as root. Because if you type bash as root, you will get a root shell. But we didn't cut anything. We just got bash 3.2 something. If I type ID, my ID is still 1000. User ID and group ID. Then wait. So bash by default will drop the privileges. So they have to use a command called bash infantry, which will escalate the privilege. Even if you are typing, even if you are running bash as root, it will drop the privilege. So we are certainly executed the privilege. Now they are put. Even though the user ID is 1000, group ID is 1000, our effective user ID is This is how Linux works. This will do very depth inside Linux. So that's why I'm not target here. So my effective user ID became the book, which means if I type, well, effectively I'm root, so I were able to do the same thing as a boot user. So this is one type of legislation that directly escalated to book. This is what I was experimenting with the machine. And once we got the reversal, we executed as root because it robbed us with the privilege. So like this, equal to the exploitation. And there are so many different groups. For now, we are just focusing on Linux-based machines. What if there was Windows-based machines? So you will be exploiting this related vulnerabilities, whether it's an SMB or Apache, not Apache. In Windows machine, it's IIS. So maybe it's an IIS server. The SNB or the file share has been enabled on the SNB server. And yeah, so many possibilities. Or you can even do active directory exploitation, focus on the active directory part to compromise the network. So much. So this is why I said you can't rely on automation tools that much, because the automated tools won't be aware of what was going on. Like it doesn't know, okay, this NFS share is available. So I could, let's say, if I rather than my root file system, I only got access to www data. What should I do? I know the Web server files are stored on the www data, which means I could upload a PHP web shell there to get a reverse shell. This type of thing, automated tools automated tools can't predict and try to do it automatically. That's why we need to do the Madden penetration testing. That is the focus of this bootcamp. You're showing the automated list, your relay manifest, the manual based to do the penetration testing process. How to approach the target. Yeah, for now, approach in the sense I just showed you, I just able to access it like this. So how you can do that? So initially, you won't know everything. So you just have to Google a lot. What is this service? What is that service? How would I interact with things? If I say like, yeah, this MS skill service is ringing. What is MS skill? Just look into that. If this skill server is exposed, can I go? So that database I were able to tamper some data. Infect those system, okay, I got able to execute some command. So I got code execution through that. Okay, they are saying like I'm vulnerable like LFI. How do I use LFI? So can I able to accelerate any other data from LFI? Usually when LFI, we are looking for sensitive data. But if it's an inexpert operating system, they could just accelerate ETC, was it see about technology system, and you could book lot person people policies. So many possibilities. Once you get used to that, you will learn every attack. So the next time you don't have to Google, you know what to do. That is what we are saying process. You have to focus on the process. Lab methodology. You have to create a methodology. Apart from that, you could do a lot more in network. Like even in initial compromise, you might get like you could increase the severity. For example, you got a common injection, but what is the next thing? I showed you how to get a reversal from a common injection. Try to get a reversal. From that, do the knowledge execution. Now the impact is increased. Initially, it's a command injection. You are able to fit some command. But what is the use? Through the command injection, you got a reversal now. You escalated that through this, which means you are able to infiltrate the network, basically. So like that, you would increase the severity. Next time when you're doing bug bounty, you could plan. That's why you are focusing on network-based exploitation this session, when there are so many available for bug pen testing, but there are not that much resources or anything for network penetration testing, or people are not that much aware of about the network pen testing part, especially doing it manually. So I hope that's clear. If you have any doubts, you can post it in our WhatsApp group. I'll be able to. I'll regularly on our WhatsApp group. So that's all for today's session, actually. And tomorrow at 5:10 would be the voting. So how we can use the voting? Little now, we learned about how to enumerate and do the penetration testing and use the X-line. But what is next? I just compromise one machine. How I'm laterally moving into the network. That concept will be covered in Bingunting. Yeah, we could use the say next that another concept we learn. how we are moving from one network to why we are doing that. So those attacks can be covered in be. So tomorrow will be pivoting. I hope that's clear. And I would advise you guys to go through the recording. Okay? Once the bootcamp is completed, we will edit the video and share it on our YouTube channel. I will share it at the banks more kind of to those videos. So just go through the concept back in. It's not a reversal and biasion. Try it because just by watching the videos won't be enough. You have to try it yourself. So what I would suggest is download the DM, try to set up locally, try to attack it yourself. That way you can learn on how. Even though you might get confused, okay, why is command attacks? What is reversal and what is biasion? By doing it practically with your events, you will understand, okay, this is why I'm doing this. This is where I'm in this thing. That's why I suggest download the Mirror's level or do something if we learn. That is the best way to learn cyber calculate. Good stuff. That's all for today's session. Thank you. That's what's adding the session.